lived in the shadow of the towers, watches the events unfold through the lens of his camera.
My name is Luis Alonso, and I live below Houston Street, approximately, I would say, 2 miles from the towers, perhaps not even that far away. I was having breakfast, and then suddenly I heard this loud thump. It was physical. It shook the apartment. And I went to the window to look out, thinking there had been a backfire, very heavy truck hitting a very big pothole or a gas explosion. And then I saw this gaping hole in the World Trade Center in the northern tower. And at that point, my jaw just dropped. I looked at it for a bit, just in shock and disbelief. And then I ran and got my camera. It seemed like I entered a zone of unreality. It seemed so impossible what I was looking at. The day was so clear, you could almost see into the hole. You could see the shreds of the cladding of the building hanging from the hole. You could almost look into it. It was an enormous hole. And it just seemed like something that could never happen, would have never happened. Here I was looking at this thing. Then I climbed out onto the fire escape and I walked up a bit and I started shooting it. When I had zoomed in, I saw something. I never actually really knew that it was a body, but it seemed like it would be a body. It felt like a body the way it was falling, the way it was responding to gravity, the sense of its mass and its scale relative to what I saw. And what I noticed later too that I didn't see when I was shooting was someone very high up in the northwest corner. I don't know if it was someone, but what I interpreted to be was somebody waving a towel or a sheet, because it was obviously something that was happening outside of the windows, and I always assumed that those windows couldn't open. And then I noticed something to the corner of my eye, and I looked and I saw another airplane. And then I tried to react to that and to include that in the film footage. At the same time that just my whole sense of what this was entirely changing. I wasn't thinking. I think I was just reacting almost automatically in terms of doing that. I was shaking, and I've never experienced it, but I felt like I was experiencing something maybe like what a combat troop would feel. It seemed like I was disassociating from it almost in a way. It seemed so unreal, so impossible. And I was just thinking about what an impossible situation that was becoming for the people inside the building, and then eventually for the people who would be attempting the rescues, which obviously they would have to be, and what would be happening inside of that building. When I saw the other plane, it just became apparent that this was no mistake. This was not an accident. When I saw the paper out of the building, it was a beautiful thing in a way, just all of this sparkling and floating in the air, just as a visual event. And I also thought about the unexpectedness of what something like this happened, the kind of peripheral events that I would never expect to happen, but then here's all of this up in the air that obviously was sucked out from the building by the force of the explosion or the aftermath. I don't know what. And as all this was going on, I was thinking how much this is going to just alter the nature of the American psyche, especially the New Yorker. It's probably going to alter architecture, building codes. It's just the ramifications of all of this, how far this is going to expand in terms of the effects that it had. Nothing will be the same. That's exactly what I was thinking. And it's not just in people, but just the whole mechanism of how the country works. It just became more and more and more unreal in degrees. At first it was this tremendous hole, no idea where it came from. Then a plane hits it. It just, it was unbelievable to begin with, and it became unbelievable in stages, each time more so. It's going to be like when Kennedy died. Everybody's going to know exactly where they were and what they were doing. It's funny because looking from the house, and this is what I noticed immediately yesterday, you look into that sky, and it's like you could feel the scar in the sky.